This podcast is a conversation by Julie Benetti and Susan Barbaro and is a production of VI Alliance, copyright 2019. And this chart-busting hit, Alone Leave Me, courtesy of New Threads, is available everywhere.
Hi, this is Julie and I'm back with Susan and we're continuing in Neville Goddard's Feeling is the Secret. It's funny because every time we turn it off, we're like, okay, that was what, the second podcast? And I said, I feel like there's more to say. And you said, well, turn it on.
I'm like, go ahead.
Keep saying, let's go, keep going. And for some reason, I keep saying, I was just saying, if, you have an exercise bike in your house and it's there and you're not using it, it's not like you have to use it morning, noon, and night, but it's there. So there's kind of layers to stuff. And I think the layers of this Feeling is the Secret in the four, very short chapters are just so powerful that they all kind of work their way cellular to kind of give the stay factor, to keep it going. And we looked at the first two, and if we look at prayer, he says some beautiful things, saying that, prayer is not so much what you ask for as how you prepare for its reception, and that it kind of opens your subconscious up more to possibility. I mean, that's really synopsizing all of what he says in this instance. Yet I think it's fascinating because, I'm going to say it, I grew up Catholic. I'm more than Catholic. But that's never how prayer was expressed to me. I do my own form of prayers. I actually wrote a book of prayers. And they were just kind of what channeled to me in the energy of the moment. And the vibration of feelings, again.
I was going to say, I think then your definition of prayer is changing, because when I think of prayer, I think, because again, yes, I'm Catholic too, and, the prayer is praying to a higher God, a higher spirit. And I think prayer, and as I read this, it works because when you pray, and again, I'm talking about my own background, but when you pray to God, and people that you hear that talk about God, and God is there for you, God will take care of you, if you believe that, and then you ask through prayer to something that you believe so strongly in, I think he's liking that to meditation, to sleep, that your five senses kind of go off on hiatus, and if you believe in God, and I'm using the term loosely because it can be any type of God, I don't mean it just to be, again, Catholicism, but if you believe so strongly in God that God is there and God is going to take care of you in any way that you do, when you pray, you are believing so deeply that this is going to occur, and you're talking to God as you see it, but really you're as he defines it, that's still affecting your subconscious because you fully believe it. So to me, it's not how you pray, is if prayer works for you, and that's because you truly wholeheartedly believe in a higher being, that when you're in prayer and that God is going to do something for you, that's the same energy as doing mantras, as just before you sleep, because your whole five senses don't interfere at that point. So if people believe in miracles, you have to believe in miracles. You got to let go of science and what everyone tells you. You just believe.
Okay, so I think the definition of prayer is so amazingly ingrained. I mean, it's only half of what he expresses here. I mean, prayer has been so far historically, and I mean, okay, sure, right, who cares? Yet in the vernacular of the English language, at least, it's what you ask for. We'll pray to God, and what you were saying, yes, all of that is true. Yet, to go a little further, preparing for its reception is all on the basis of seeing that it's already attained.
Well, if you don't have a strong faith, then he says in here, I should like to, but I cannot. That means the harder you try, the less you're able to yield to the wish. You never attract that which you want, but always attract that which you are conscious of being. So I think when he talks about prayer, he does not mean to go into blind, like, okay, go to church and pray, or go to the synagogue, or go to the mosque, go wherever it is and pray. If you don't believe in it, then it's not going to work. To me, I get this it's that sense of you are have such a deep faith that when you go and you pray and you believe that I ask God for this, I'm going to get it. That is the prayer that I think he's referring to. Because if you go and you say, I want this, but I don't really believe in God, or it's not going to work.
So I agree with all that. And I feel the highest vibration is on the second part of that, as just, I guess you could call faith, but it's even more than faith. The understanding that you're just preparing for its reception.
Yes, so when if you don't have faith and it's going to occur, that's to me, you're not preparing. If you have faith, it is going to happen, and you know to your core. That's faith. You don't have to say, okay, well, let me now go, I'm going to go back to the stupid secret, and we'll go out and spend the money like you have it. That's not the faith that he's referring to, or I'm referring to when I talk about his definition of prayer. It's that no to the core.
So the example I get is that prayer is not asking, if you know someone who's sick or has troubles, and you ask, oh, please send them help. And prayer is the second part of that, which is imagining, and really firmly in the understanding of the reception of this person is not sick. This person is okay.
And what brings you to that is that your faith that God will heal them. If you do not believe in that faith, then it means nothing.
But for me, those parts of that process are what has gone through civilization after civilization, because it's more than faith. It's the understanding, and in the reception is how you prepare for its reception, and the reception of it, it's already occurred. There's no doubt whatsoever. There's no
So I
anything.
see this prayer versus sleep versus everything else is that in the belief of a higher being, where you can, because it says here, one of the things he says is prayer is the art of yielding to the wish and not the forcing of the wish. Whenever your feeling is in conflict with your wish, feeling will be the victor. So the feeling, if you have such a strong faith, you can move that feeling. And I'm saying the same thing to you. But wait a minute, I'm saying the same thing as you. It's in the second part of it. But if you do not have that faith, you can't. You're just going through motions. But your feeling is it's not really going to happen, because I don't really believe in God. And I'm not saying you have to believe in God or not believe in God, but prayer, if you really, really believe that there is going to occur, then you can, that's all you have to do. Even if, again, you don't know how it's going to occur, you can go into the space of it will occur.
So what I said in the first podcast about a lot of people saying, it's hard to, control your thoughts and blah, 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 and there's all those spells, and, it's hard to, when you're meditating and blah, 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 and yet if you and when I said that part of, wow, how much more powerful it is to kind of turn around and say, okay, I'm not going to get in the way of trying to do all those things in the beginning part, but what I'm going to do is the end part, where what I need to do for the subconscious is to have these feelings and these desires that I already know fulfilled. So I'm not going to worry about the beginning part. And I'm saying that is so revolutionary to the state. And the reason why I keep going back to it is because it's so powerful that he actually states it here at the end of this short chapter, that it's almost like you're in this passive state of knowing. He doesn't say of knowing, but he says there's this passive state is reached, and then you just imagine that you've realized your wish, not how it was realized, but simply the wish fulfilled. And I don't know how else to say this, because the aspect of it's like the prayer is the do, yet there is no do we need to do besides be in the reception. I mean, that's like revolutionary to what the understanding of prayer is.
So we're now going to start talking about the last chapter, Spirit Feeling. And what's interesting about this is he says in here, you are that which you believe yourself to be. And the feeling of that, what you feel you are, that's what you are going to be. And, the other part of it is at the last line, and we're not going to the end because Julie has a lot to say, but the last line, it says, when a man believes in the value of the advice given him and applies it, he establishes within himself the reality of success. And he talks about success, but whatever it is, whatever anyone tells you, if you believe it, well, you will make it come true. And I just think the biggest lesson in this is having that awareness.
Right. And again, so live in the feeling of being the one you want to be and that you shall be. And I think what's very interesting about this chapter, and it's just 2 paragraphs, and every line is so powerful, at least to me, and getting into the spirit of the state desired, you do that by assuming the feeling. And I was talking, I think in the last podcast or in this one, about the song from The Greatest Showman, and it moved me like from the sadness into this immensity of just unimaginable yet imaginable, feeling and spirit, feeling, by the spirit of the song and the emotions and the feelings of everybody that were participating in it, and just the song itself and the sound. And it's funny because there's that talk out there that was going on about fake it, and that's how you can kind of go out into the world if you need to fake it. Make it. Yeah, and all that other kind of stuff going on in that expression. And the aspect of just being present and just being and kind of relaxing and settling into the moment, rather than having all this other activity going on, is you being with you and with your power. And this first little chapter about getting into the spirit by assuming the feeling, it made me think of Star Trek. I'm going to go there because Captain Picard always used to say, make it so. In any directive on the bridge he would give to anyone in the crew.
It's not fair. I never saw any of those.
I can't believe it. It's science fiction. All the Star Treks, everything, all the way from William Shatner. Anyway, Captain Picard, that was his line. Anything, warp factor 5, make it so. Whatever it was, that would be his ending line, to make it so. And in actuality, if you took the vibration of that statement into this chapter about spirit and feeling, there's a feeling to it. Because, it's kind of like his line. Nobody else, no other character says that, and he's the captain of the starship. And the feeling to it is that it's already occurred. He says, make it so, but it already occurs. There's no effort. And there's an interesting part to that, because where I want to go is, notoriously for the longest time, it amazed me in these 2 paragraphs, because there's the expression of be, do, have. And we talked about this a little bit. And, you kind of have to be it to, and do it to have what is with that. And, there's been little examples, like if you want to have a restaurant, and I use the words purposely, you want to have a restaurant, so you go out and you buy a restaurant. Well, then, are you going to be the chef? Are you going to do the cooking? Are you going to have the restaurant that has a chef in it that does the cooking? And so there's notoriously this kind of formula that this is the only way it can be, is be, do, have. Like, you can't go and do cooking and then, be a chef, and because you might not be good at cooking. You might need to have some lessons or whatever, and then you have a restaurant. If you have it too soon, if you have a restaurant and you don't do the other things. And so there's this whole permutation that goes on in this conversation about it has to be, do, have. And what's funny about that, it made me think, taking this and propelling it to another energy point, that with this part of what Neville Goddard is talking about, really there's only being. We're only being. And
yeah, but then you didn't change it because you're still just being, and then you do it and you have it.
Well, what I'm expressing in this sense is he tells us that the do part is the subconscious. So we don't need to even worry about any how. It's the subconscious that's doing it. And as you talked about before in the earlier podcast about, it's like it's a separation, but it's really the same thing, the conscious and the subconscious or unconscious. Yet the unconscious is doing the doing.
So you haven't changed the be, do, have.
No.
You've just simply transferred the do to the subconscious. You're saying the
Well, that's what
the
he
work
says
of,
here,
no,
right?
that's what I'm just trying to
And
make sure I understand. So you're saying the be is the work. The do gets done by the subconscious, and then therefore you have it.
Right, yet in the simplicity of that, even to go further into what he said about, we didn't even talk about how he talks about the subconscious being the female aspect that does the creation, because then the child created is the have that exists in your reality. And so what's been kind of forcibly put out there in self-help and other avenues is, that you participate in the be, you participate in the do, you participate in the have. Well, yes, you do, yet it's not existent in a do.
No.
I mean, it's brilliant that all we have to do is be. And it's really hard because I can't use any other words except be, do, and have.
But the thing is that I remember, and I've told you this, I know, a few times, is when I've been pregnant, you get pregnant, and then it's like, okay, what do I do? What do I do? It's like, there's nothing. There's nothing to do. There's like the subconscious at work. The subconscious, in essence, the baby grows on its own. I don't have to do something for it to grow ears. I don't have to do something for the baby to, have 10 toes. That just happens. And I remember when the first time I got pregnant, and I called the doctor, and they're like, okay, yeah, we did come get blood tests. Yep, you're pregnant. All right, what do I do? Well, eat well, make sure you get rest. I'm like, what? That's it? And you come in a month, and we're going to check, make sure
isn't
everything.
That being?
That's
that
what,
you
yeah,
being
that's
you?
what I'm saying. You keep saying, what other word to use? That was a great example of like, okay, that's it. And then here's the baby. Yeah, you have to go through labor. There's a little do in that, I guess, at the very end. I guess like with anything else, if you want the car, well, then somehow it shows up. Well, you got to go out there and get in and start it up and drive it. I mean, there is a do, but the do should always be what you choose to do.
So let me ask you, because I'm going to put you on the spot, because I have an answer to this. So doesn't that take a huge weight off your shoulders?
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing you have to do, because automatically you're doing it. You got this huge powerhouse inside of you. Nobody else can do it for you. Bye-bye, self-help. And the have part, nobody else is going to give it to you, yet you are. From the do, and your subconscious, your unconscious is doing it all. In the have, it's creating it.
Well, you just eliminated everybody who's waiting for somebody to do something. You just completely eliminated it.
Exactly. And you're wait, and much in what we said, you're waiting for yourself. Hello. All you have to do is be. So what does that mean? And to go into the presence
so,
of that.
I look at that is the be is doing what you love to do. Do what it is you want to be doing. That's being. I mean, doing these podcasts. We love going into these books. We love analyzing them. That's what we love to do. And we joked because if we don't have the podcast, we're still doing it.
Right.
And so what's the be? That's our being. So the be and the do, actually, that is one, but it's not like, okay, now we have to go out and find a podcast studio. We have to do, no. Turn on your little recorder and we go. We just do what you want to do.
And we're not planning any of this. We're not, we do the reading. We're not planning any of it. We're being. And I think, understanding, I mean, for myself, I'll say that's like a huge weight off your shoulders that, oh my gosh, I don't have to think about what I have to do. I don't have to plan what I want to have.
Nope.
I don't have to, you stay in that be mode and be,
and things work out all of a sudden. That's where, who would have, I'm going back to the text I got. This girl was talking about something, and I looked and I said, oh, wow, look at this. Oh, well, and that was it. And then all of a sudden she's like, are you kidding me? Here it is. It shows up for her that what she was looking for. And her word was ironic, yet that's working with the subconscious. It shows up for you. And then the do is just embracing it. All of a sudden, if you have to plant something, everything sort of works out. You just step in and it's like boom, 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 boom. It gets done fast. There's no agonizing and, oh, how are we going to, it all sort of works out for you. You kind of go through the motions at the very end.
And I think that embracing part is really relaxing into the moment of being. Relaxing into the moment of being you, all of you, powerfully.
Thank you for listening to this production from EI Alliance. Check out our Amazon authors pages for books and podcasts. Find New Threads music and their latest album on iTunes, Spotify, and newthreads.us.